Hello guys, this is Deepika from mytutorialrack.com. In the previous tutorial we made some changes as inside of my Git repo, and we pushed those changes into the central repository. So now in this tutorial, let's assume I'm Mary and I have some CSS style sheets to edit. So I have to make some changes. So what I'm going to do is, we're going to go back to Mary's repository. So let me just double check. We are inside of the Mary's repository and we are in the master branch. So far Mary does not have the new changes that we pushed to the central repository. So now the CSS changes that I want to do, I will go ahead and create a separate branch for it. So I'm going to go ahead and say git checkout, and then the branch name would be css-edit. So this is the new branch and I'm checking out in this branch, and I will make those changes in this branch. So the file that I need to edit is the style.css file. So if you go ahead and open this file in Notepad, go ahead and open it, and the first change that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some formatting for the headers. So the first thing, the font size is going to be 32 pixels for the h1 tag. So I'm going to go ahead and give 32 pixels. Then the second is I want to also go ahead and do it for the h2. So for the heading 2, the font size would be 24 pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to 24 pixel. And the third change that I will do is I'm going to go ahead and give some coloring for the links as well. So the link, and if there is a link which is visited, the color would be, so I'm going to go ahead and change the color 03C. So this is the color that I'm going to go ahead and give. Now, once I made the change, go ahead and save these changes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and stage and commit the snapshot. So if you go ahead and look at the status of the repository, you will see that there is a file that has been modified, which is style.css. So now I'm going to go ahead and commit my changes and add the changes together. So the command I'm going to go ahead and do is add and commit at the same time. The message that I will do is add the CSS styles for headings and links. So this is the message that I'm going to go, the commit message. Now if you go ahead and look at the status, now you will see that these are in the sync. Now if you're just a point here to note that we have not gotten the changes from the central repository that we made in the last tutorial. Mary is totally independent and she's busy doing her stuff. Now after she made the first commit, then she realized that she did not add any styling for the heading 3. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go back and add another styling for the heading 3 here, and the font size that I'm going to go ahead and give would be 18 pixels for the heading 3. And I'm also going to go ahead and give a margin on the left. So the margin that I'm going to give will be, let's say, 20 pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and give the margin. So now Mary is all set for the changes that she was supposed to do. All the styling has been done. Now I'm going to go ahead and add these changes as well. So I'm going to go ahead and commit these changes. So I'm going to go back and say git commit -a -m. The message that I'm going to do here is add the CSS styles. So I'm going to go back here, add the CSS styles for headings for the third level heading. So that's the thing that I have to do for the third level heading. So these are the commit that I've done. So now once I made this commit, now if you go ahead and look at the history or the commit history, you will see that the history is a little messy. See, the last two commits that was made by Mary, instead of 2, there should be 1, because all she did was change the style.css, but one commit she forgot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my interactive rebase to clean that commit history. So I'm going to go ahead and say git rebase -i master. Till now, I am not committing any changes. I have not added any changes to the central repository. I have not retrieved any changes from the central repository. I'm just working on the CSS-edit file, and I'm just trying to clean my messy history. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say git rebase -i master. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to clean. I'm going to open an interactive rebase. If you go ahead and do this, it'll open the interactive rebase thing. and we're going to go ahead and try to clean our history. Okay, so the first change I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and do up here. I'll go into the insert mode. I'll delete this thing and call it the squash. So you already know what the squash does. Okay, you will be able to meld into the previous commit. So instead of 2 commits, you're going to do you merge into the previous commit here. So now I'm done with the changes. I'm going to go ahead and come out of the escape out of the insert mode, and then I'm going to say colon W and Q. So now it asks me, this is a combination of 2 commit. Which kind of message are you interested here? Okay, do you want the first message to be this one or add the CSS style? So I'm okay with the first message, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it as it is. I'm just going to go ahead and exit. Okay, so now the rebasing has been finished. Now if you go ahead and look at your commit history, you're going to see there's only one last commit, and that is add CSS styles for headings and links, because the 2 changes that we did, we merged them into one single commit because of the interactive rebase. Now my commit history is completely clean. It does not tell me that I ended up doing 2 changes in the style.css. I tried to merge them together and put it as only one commit. Okay, so now first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is, now if I wanted to go ahead and push Mary's changes to the central repository, there is a problem. The problem is the central repository has been updated to the new changes, but Mary is not aware of those new changes. So if she tries to do that, there will be a problem. So how are we going to go ahead and make sure that the merge is successful? So right now the changes that we made are in the CSS.edit branch. Now before we merge them into the central repository, we need to first merge these changes into the master. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and check out as master. Now I'm switched to the master. Now I'm going to go ahead and merge the changes from the CSS-edits branch to the master branch. So once you do that, it's going to go ahead and make the changes. Now I do not need this CSS-edits branch anymore, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this branch. I'm going to say d CSS- of edit. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this particular branch. Now once we are done with the merging, what we need to do is we need to push these changes to the central repository. But hold on, there is a problem. There is a problem. The central repository is already updated and Mary is not aware of those changes. So now if you go ahead and try to do git push origin master, if you do this, you will see that there is an error here, fail to push, because the central repository is updated and Mary is not aware of those. So first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and get all the changes from the central repository. How are we going to do it? We were going to go ahead and use this command called git fetch origin. So whatever is in the origin is nothing but the central repository. Get all the changes from the origin. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this particular command now. Now with this, what happened is, so now we got everything from the central repository. Now we need to use the rebase to update our local master. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say git rebase. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and rebase with what? With the origin master, not my master, but the origin master. Okay. So once we hit this command, now Mary's master branch contains everything from the central repository. So everything which is there in the central repository is there in the Mary's master branch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and push my changes, whatever I made, into the master branch, which is the origin master branch. So now I'm going to push the changes. So now before doing that, you will see that the Mary's repository has been updated. She has the news-3 and also she has the link. If you go ahead and open this particular page in the browser, you're going to see there is a link for the Middle East silent piece, which we added in the last tutorial. Now Mary has that change because what we did is we did a rebase on the origin master. And then now I have the latest change from the repository. Now I'm going to push Mary's changes, or whatever the changes, me assuming myself as Mary, I'm going to push those changes into the origin master. Now once I hit the command, now what will happen is Now we have pushed whatever the style.css changes that Mary made in her repository, we have pushed it to the central repository. So far, Mary and central repository have the same code. Now let's say I want my Git repo also to get the changes from Mary, but Mary and my Git repo are not connected. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the central repository. So first thing, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my Git repo. So I'm going to go and switch back to my Git repo here, and then being in my Git repo, I'm going to go ahead and fetch the changes from the origin, because now there is no connection between Mary's and my Git repo. The connection is through the origin, the centralized remote repository. So once I hit that, I got all the changes. Now if you go ahead and look at the difference here between, if you go ahead and compare your master with the origin master, let's see what we get. So if I go ahead and compare my master, means my Git repo master, with the origin master, let's see what we have. With the origin master, okay, so you see there is a changes that it's telling us that these are the two different changes now they have. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and merge the changes from the origin master. So I'm gonna go ahead and merge these changes from the origin master. Okay, now if you go ahead and run the same command again, git log master, compare yours with the origin master changes, and let's see what we found here. Now both are in sync. There is no change, both are in sync. Okay, so first what we did is just a quick recap. First, Mary made some changes into the Mary's repository, into a new branch, and then what we did is we tried to merge the changes to the master, to the Mary's master. Once she did the merge, since she did not have the updated changes from the central repository, she was not able to do push. So what we did is we got all the changes using the fetch command, and then what we did, we merged Mary's master with the origin master. Once we did that, then what happened was we did a rebase so that the Mary get the latest stuff into her master. Then what we did next is we pushed Mary's changes to the central repository. So now central repository has all the style.css changes what Mary did. But the problem now is my Git repo does not have any communication with Mary, but my Git repo wants to get the changes what Mary made. So my Git repo is not going to go ahead and directly talk to Mary, but how are they going to go ahead and communicate? My Git repo is going to go ahead and communicate with the central repository and fetch all the changes from there. So this is how the central repository works. In the next tutorial, I will talk to you about the disadvantages of using a centralized repository. Thank you.